Everyone tells you to trust yourself, trust your gut. You'll know when something is off. Meanwhile, you're standing there thinking, my gut told me the last person was safe. My gut told me this was a good relationship. My gut was wrong for years. So, what exactly am I supposed to be trusting here? After long term coercive control, trust yourself is not helpful advice. It's borderline insulting. Your self trust has been attacked and torn to shreds. Your pattern recognition has been poisoned. Your threat radar is either stuck on maximum or completely unreliable. Telling you to just trust your gut is like telling someone with a broken compass to just follow where it points. So if you can't trust your gut, how do you know who is safe? How do you know who to let in? How do you rebuild the ability to read people when your reader has been deliberately scrambled? That's what today's video is all about. Because discernment after abuse is not just a feeling, it's a method. For those of you who are new here, Stand Again is a lived experience platform for male victims of family violence. Abuse is not limited to one gender, but this channel focuses on the male perspective because it is so often dismissed or misunderstood. I need your help to make this channel grow, so if this content helps you, please engage with the content. Hit the hype button, hit the like button, subscribe, and add the words Stand Again into the chat. Those two words might just help a victim of family violence find their words. So, in order to understand what to do, you first need to understand why discernment is so hard. There are three specific ways that long term family violence and coercive control corrupts your ability to read people. The first is that your pattern recognition has been poisoned. In normal life, good behavior is a reasonable indicator of a good person. Someone is nice to you 5 times in a row, and you start to think, yeah, this person's nice. But in coercive control, good behavior was often a part of the trap. Things looked really good for a while before they got bad. The love bombing, the charm, the perfect facade, all of that came before the abuse. So now you've learned a different rule. 6 good things in a row does not mean long term good things. 6 good things in a row might mean there's a surprise coming, like Russian roulette, where the cylinder spins and suddenly everything goes to hell. Your brain learned that pattern. Goodness becomes a warning sign instead of a reassurance. And that makes it very hard to relax into any new relationship because kindness itself now triggers suspicion. The second is that your threat calibration is stuck on high. In an abusive environment, small things mattered. A slightly clumsy comment, a tone that was a bit off, someone being a little distracted. In normal life, these things are just noise. In coercive control, they are warning signs. They preceded punishment. So your brain learned to treat them as red flags. Now you're out and you're still reading normal behavior through that lens. Someone says something awkward and your threat system activates. Someone is quiet one day and you start scanning for danger. You are categorizing yellow flags as red flags because in your history, yellow flags were red flags. Your radar is oversensitive and it's exhausting you. The third is that trust building behaviors now feel dangerous. In normal relationships, trust gets built through openness. You sharing something vulnerable, the other person handles it well. You share more, they reciprocate. The relationship deepens. That's how it's supposed to work. But in coercive control, everything you shared got weaponized. Your vulnerabilities were stored and used against you later, sometimes years later. Your openness was twisted. Your good moments were ruined. So now you don't do the things that would normally build trust. You don't become transparent. You don't become open and honest. You don't become light and vulnerable because you know from experience that those things are dangerous. They get used against you. But here's the problem. If you don't take that step forward, you don't get the data you need to actually assess someone. Discernment becomes guesswork because you're not creating the conditions for trust to be tested. So you're stuck. Your pattern recognition is poisoned. Your threat calibration is off. And the behaviors that would help you build trust feel too risky to attempt. That's why trust your gut does not work. Your gut has been trained for a different environment. It needs recalibration, not blind trust. Discernment after coercive control can't rely on just gut feelings. It has to be repeatable process, evidence-based, something you can run regardless of how uncertain you feel. Let's step through a method that works. Step 1. Observe the behavior without the story. When something feels off, start with the facts. What did they actually do? Not what you think it means, not what it reminds you of, not what it might lead to, just the behavior. Keep it concrete and specific. This prevents your threat system from running away with the interpretation before you've even collected the data. Step 2 is to generate 2 hypotheses, not 1. This is critical. Your brain will want to land on one explanation, usually the threatening one. Instead, force yourself to hold 2 possibilities. The benign hypothesis, like, oh, they're clumsy, stressed, immature, unaware, or just lacking in skill, versus the exploitive hypothesis. They're testing a boundary, they're extracting something, they're positioning for control, or they're punishing me. Don't marry to either explanations yet. Just hold both hypotheses. Step 3, set a boundary or just run a micro test. This is where discernment becomes practical. You don't figure out if someone is safe by thinking about it. You figure it out by testing. A boundary is your behavior, not theirs. Reduce access, slow the pace, say no to something, ask for clarity, name the impact, and then see what happens. The micro test does not need to be dramatic, it can be small. The point is to create a situation where the response gives you information. Healthy people respond differently to boundaries than a manipulative person does. The test reveals which one you're dealing with. Step 4, analyze the response. This is where truth tends to leak. The response to your boundary is often more diagnostic than the original behavior. This is your second data point, and it matters more than the first. Watch carefully here. Healthy responses tend to include curiosity and ownership and genuine apology, and they might even adjust their behavior. They might say, oh, I didn't realize, tell me more. Or, that's fair, I'll do it differently. They don't need to be perfect. They need to show you that your boundary is something they'll work with rather than work through. Manipulative responses tend to include defensiveness or minimizing or blame shifting and guilt trips and punishment, escalation, mockery, and dava. You know the lot. They make it about you. They make you feel bad for having the boundary in the first place. They treat your reasonable limit as an attack on them, which is where step 5 comes in. Look for the pattern, not the singular incident. One incident can be just noise. A repeated theme, however, becomes a signal. If something felt off once, note it. If you see a second instance of the same thing, control, dismissal, entitlement, punishment, then that is a pattern. Now you can act. The 2 signal rule keeps you from both naivety and false positives. And throughout all of this, check your regulation. Your triggers can continue to contaminate the read. If you are dysregulated, if your nervous system is activated, everything will look more threatening than it actually is. Before you make any assessment, you need to ask yourself, am I regulated enough to evaluate this? Could I explain this situation to a calm, reasonable person in 30 seconds without spiraling? If not, pause, regulate first, then do the assessment. This is not about dismissing your feelings, those are important. It is about not making decisions from a dysregulated state. Your nervous system running hot is not the same as accurate threat detection. One more thing, separate safety from compatibility. After coercive control, your brain wants to collapse everything into danger or safe. But those are not the only categories. Someone can be not dangerous, but also not for you. They might have different values, they might be low effort, they might just be a tone mismatch. That doesn't make them unsafe, it makes them incompatible. Discernment isn't just about detecting threats, it's about distinguishing threat from ordinary mismatch. So you don't burn out treating every relationship decision as life or death. Discernment after coercive control is not about getting your old gut feeling back. That gut feeling was trained in a war zone. It learned rules that kept you alive in an environment where the normal rules do not apply. Bringing that gut feeling into normal life is like running military threat protocols at a dinner party. It's not wrong to have it, it's just calibrated for the wrong environment. What you're building now is something different. Not blind trust, not permanent suspicion, a method, behavior hypothesis, test response pattern. Run that loop, collect the data, let evidence accumulate, make decisions based on what you can observe rather than what you fear might be happening. Self trust doesn't come back because you tell yourself to trust again. It comes back through repeated, low risk confirmations that your judgment tracks reality. Each time you run this method and it works, each time you set a boundary and accurately read the response, each time you identify a pattern and act on it appropriately, you're rebuilding the confidence that was taken from you, not through positive affirmations, through evidence. Your judgment is not broken. It was just trained for a different environment. Discernment is the recalibration back to civilian life. This is Stand Again, lived experience platform for male survivors of family violence. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Your voice might just help another man find his. If you're looking for one on one support, you can book coaching with a member of the Stand Again team. Simply visit standagain.com.au, where you will also find grounded information on surviving and recovering from family violence as a man. As always, remember that no matter how many times you've been knocked down, you can stand again.